Look at what happened, after the 2007 elections. The beneficiary of that election, late Yar'Adua, Marmus Yar'Adua himself, admitted that there are flaws in the election and there is need for, reforms. And he came up with the Ways Committee,
exactly,
which did a fantastic job. There has been consolidation and all of that, but there hasn't been much talk about that, going into 2027. How do you think this conversation should be reignited? Who should, at the time Nigeria, focus has shifted towards 2027 elections. Shouldn't the conversation also be around reforming the electoral system? And
that's why I was telling you, I said this government is so obsessed with just the tax reforms, but there are other critical reforms that they needed to go into. I mentioned the judicial reforms that we needed. We also need the electoral reforms, which you have re-echoed. So that's very important. Incidentally, I had worked in the Supreme Court for 4 years when I was working with the federal government, but not as a judicial officer, but as one of the federal government arms that was there. And I had known Justice Owais in person, you understand? And the commission or the committee that he led for the reforms, even there's the Orosanye, the Owais Commission, there are so many reforms that have been carried out, but everything is just gathering dust. So we end up spending taxpayers' money, come out with beautiful reports, assemble people who will go into intellectual and rigorous reviews, come out with good recommendations, and then we just dump them.
Unfortunately.
And then at the end of the day, you wonder
implementation
what is the
is central
in the first place.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I wish we go on where we have to, call it a day here. Dr. Sani Daouf, a former governorship candidate of the ADP in Plateau State, and also the National Publicity Secretary of the Advanced Action Democratic Party, the ADP. Thank you very much for coming on the show tonight.
And thank you very much for inviting me. And I look forward to Nigerians making the right choice, and the ADP give me that permission to tell you that you say I will be campaigning for
It's all right. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming. And viewers, that's a wrap on this week edition of Sunday Politics. Do join us tomorrow. We'll be back with another interesting topic and personalities on daily politics. Keep a date with us. We'll be back. Until then, I'm Shafiu Suleiman. Many thanks for being there.
So guys, this Northerner has come out to say that 7 APC governors are already forming a coalition against Tinubu. 7 APC governors. Tinubu is busy, a kind of pulling other governors to join APC so that they can support him. Guess what? He's now being mocked at that you heard what Ndume said in his latest interview, that only those politicians are defecting, the people are not defecting. And now you can see what is happening. Now 7 APC governors working together to form a coalition against the Tinubu's government. And guess what? It is still too early. With time, you see that there will be more, because it is only a Nigerian who does not have eyes that will not see that Tinubu has failed Nigerians woefully. Look at nothing you can reckon with in this country currently, going by what Tinubu has achieved. What will you point out that he has achieved? Anyway, guys, I'm just going to allow you to take a look at this interview session on Trust TV, where this man has come out to talk about 7, APC governors who are working against Tinubu's re-election. He does not even know that his own people are working against his re-election. Anyway, guys, let me allow you to take a look at this video and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Take a look.
Maybe it's part of Tinubu's strategy to call people and to intimidate and to harass, because this is basically what we call bullying, political bullying. That is just what is happening, and that's what we're seeing in Nigeria now, and that is very unfortunate. And I think if we're taking that course, it's very dangerous.
Right. Okay. This will lead us into our main topic, because this is exactly what we're talking about. Nigeria tilting towards, dictatorship, as some prominent Nigerians has alluded. Just recently, a prominent lawyer and a pro-democracy activist Oh, I can't remember the name now precisely. He did mention, that during his appearance on one of the national television stations, that Nigerians should be wary of a possibility of shifting towards, totalitarian.
Is it Mike Ozokome?
Yeah, Ozokome. Okay. Thank you. I'm trying to recall now. Mike Ozokome, senior advocate of Nigeria,
yes.
Saying that Nigerians should be concerned about what is happening in the political space. Before then, quite a number of people have also spoken. I read where as another senior advocate of Nigeria, Joseph Daudu, SAN, was also alluding to such scenario, that there's need for, something need to be done to stem this tide of mass defections without reasons, emasculation of the opposition, and so on and so forth. We just talk about the Fubara scenario. In fact, some papers call him defecting Fubara, in quote. So there's likelihood he also jumps ship. Right. So what is all this saying, in respect to our democracy as a nation?
Well, like I said, we should be very wary and be careful of political bullying, so that we don't once again become a pariah nation in democracy. We've become a pariah nation under military regime, but you can also become a pariah nation in democracy. And that is even more dangerous.
Right.
Yes, the fact that you are free to associate, you are free to move to any political party,
association, yeah.
But there are some people that there are restrictions for their moving. For example, legislators. The constitution is very clear that you cannot win an election under the platform of a political party and then decamp to another without any divisions in the party.
But
you understand? Let me learn. Now, on the issue of going to a one-party state, I remember when Ganduje was asked when the governor of Delta decamped, and he was given the example of China. And I said, okay, in China, do they have corruption like we have in Nigeria? Because it's very easy to give examples with other countries, but then you hide the other aspects that, you have a big challenge that you need to deal with.
That's right.
Yeah, so I think these are the issues we should really look at.
Okay, I was actually going to look at that aspect of the Constitution that talks about, the defection of lawmakers. I know there is a window which the politicians are exploiting.
Which window?
Except if there is a crisis, if there is crisis within the party.
Okay.
And if that is what they are leveraging on, now we'll get to realize that, quite a number of those political parties, especially the big ones, are in crisis. Multiple fronts, conflicting judgments, factionalization, and all of that. Take, for instance, the Labour Party, which came third in the last election, going by the presidential result.
Yes.
Again, take a look at what is happening in the NMPP, for instance. There are also factionalization. You look at the PDP, even though, even within the PDP, there is also some sort of groupings. The G5, now breaking away. We're beginning to see the governor's bloc, the Atiku's bloc, and so on and so forth within the party. So isn't this enough reason for those who are defecting to say, hey, look, there is crisis within our party and then we can continue to remain here?
The parties you mentioned that are in crisis, they are not in crisis. The Labour Party is not in crisis because the Supreme Court have ruled. They have recognized nnamdi Usman. You understand? So that is sorted out. It is only when
fully sorted out, because the issue is this. If you still go back to INEC portal, you still find the names of Julius Abure and his team as leaders of the party. So meaning that this matter is yet to be sorted out completely. INEC, according to them, is still looking at the certified true copy of the judgment. So it is yet to take a decision as to whether to align with which one to recognize and so on.
So if they are now corresponding with the Labour Party, who are they going to write? Are they going to write Abure or they are going to write nnamdi? I'm just asking you.
We've seen what has been happening recently. Even the elections the subnational elections that took place, I think Edo or so, it was the Abure leadership that was written to. And even right now as we speak, look at what happened in the PDP, for instance. the issue of the secretaryship, INEC decided not to participate in the zonal congress of the party, is it not central, simply because the letters, invitation letters were not signed by the Supreme Court recognized Senator Sama Anyong, right? So if that is the case, then it means there's much to be desired in terms of.
Look, there is no division in the opposition parties. These are divisions created by the ruling party deliberately to destabilize the opposition.
How do they do that? Because
and
what they keep telling you is
their main target is, right, of course, the PDP and the Labour Party, because they were the front runners in the 2023 election. So they feel the best thing is to neutralize those political parties, and they have forgotten that, look, the party is just a platform. When people group and regroup, you cannot stop a movement. Because what is going to happen in Nigeria is a movement against bad governance, against mismanagement. And that is what is going to manifest. People have given the example. Peter Obi did not have a single governor as a Labour presidential candidate. He did not have even a member in parliament or even a councillor.
Right.
But he pulled that vote and won in certain states. Yeah. You understand?
Yes.
So I'm telling you that I think, forget about all these deceptions, all these.
But the bottom line
that is happening. People going to say that they are decamping or they are doing that. Even in Akwa Ibom said, you can see that some governors refuse to go with the. Some commissioners refuse to go with the governor.
Decided not to go.
Exactly.
On principle.
So they are just part of those that have come out to speak. There are many more that are not willing to go.
But we've seen how it was a total sweep in Delta.
Yeah.
Even in Akwa, apart from the 3 commissioners, all have joined the governor.
I think there are about 11 members of the House of Assembly that went with the governor, but I think about 15 have not. There are 26 House Parliament. I don't think about the 15 have fully gone, but that's not the issue.
Right. Okay. Talking about the opposition, he said it is about the people. That's what opposition figures like you keep telling Nigerians.
Yes.
Especially now that the permutation is not in the favor of the opposition. Before now, in the last couple of weeks, there has been this wave, this momentum around a coalition talk and all of that. But when the APC begin to activate its own strategies, wooing governors, high-profile, lawmakers into its fold, then the momentum begin to gradually wind down. Now, beyond the talks, there is need for a platform, to convey whatever you want to convey or to provide an alternative for Nigerians. And it seems all the platforms, the available platforms that may be used, are said to have been also infiltrated. For instance, the much talked about the SDP died down gradually. Within the opposition figures themselves, there is this suspicion around the fact that the SDP may have been infiltrated by the government, and then they are now moving towards ADC. There's also issues in the ADC. Now, some of its hierarchy are saying, no, we're not going to relinquish our positions. We're not going to allow, newcomers to take our positions and all of that. You go to the Labour Party, same issues. You go to the PDP, there is this double talk as to whether they are with the coalition or not with the coalition. Governors have said it clearly that they're not with the coalition. So, where there seems to be, the opposition seems to be in disarray. So, what platform, what hope are you giving Nigerians?
Let me tell you, there are about 6 to 7 APC governors that are funding the coalition. Go and check and go and do your investigation.
Right now.
Exactly.
Incumbent government.
That is exactly what happened when the NPDP now joined APC in 2015. You understand? And don't forget also, you are talking about, you see, in a political arrangement, you are free to have group interests. And that's what you are talking about. In PDP, you have the Atiku group, you have the Wike group, and the others. The same thing with even APC. You have the CPC group. You have the AD, which later became the AC group. That's the Tinubu group. Yeah. They are still there. So those blocks are still there in politics. So it's not even an issue to bother about. You understand? And I'm telling you that it is part of the strategy in politics. You know, you don't...
And the part of the opposition.
Exactly. You don't release all your arsenals on day one, and, you know, you have to keep some at the strategic moments, then you strike. So...
But looking at what is happening, I mean, take for instance what you just said. You know, some APC governors are part of the movement or part of the coalition talks on the ground. But the same governors we are seeing also endorsing the president. The Northeast Caucus and the Northwest Caucus and the North Central Caucus have endorsed the president. And these are governors, you know, and the likes. So is it to say that who are they, I mean, deceiving now, Nigerians or themselves?
There are lots of issues that are happening that even within the APC, there are those who are not happy with the way things are going. You should provide even a level playing field. That is a democracy. Let even people contest with the president. When he became president and won the ticket in APC, he contested with other people. So if anybody feels so desired, those that are in APC that want to contest, that's their own business anyway. They can go and contest, you understand? But they should allow some level playing field for those who are interested. The endorsements can go in, but I don't think people should be suppressed, people should be denied the opportunity to contest, even with a sitting president. Except if nobody shows interest, that is understandable.
Would it be part of the strategies, perhaps, to emasculate the opposition or to, I mean, have a total control of the space? If everyone is hinging his success, I mean, 2027, you know, onto the president. Mr. President has to approve this or that. Mr. President has to endorse this and that, just like we are seeing now. A sitting governor going, begging cap in hand, asking, you know, I mean, for his mandate to be returned. And this is people's mandate, anyway. And he was suspended in that controversial circumstance, even though the matter is in court. We're not discussing the details. But then, yet, this same governor is now going, you know, tagging along, so to speak. And quite a number of, including the case in Delta, you know, it was also said to have been orchestrated as a result of plans, I mean, was given birth by the EFCC case, you know, involving the former governor and all of that.
Yeah, most of the defections are as a result of victimization that are likely going to happen, not because of the people wanting to go to the ruling party, because that's just one of the things that the ruling party is using. Oh, you have done this, okay, so we're going to use it against you. That's all. But you see, they have immunity. Whatever they say they're going to do. They
also denied that, saying that some of those cases people are alluding to are still ongoing.
Yes.
EFCC hasn't dropped any of those cases. So for one to think that it is because of the corruption cases that they are joining, but most of them, going even by their words, they are joining because the president is doing well. He's taking Nigeria to that El Dorado. You know, take for instance what the current, the just recent defector, talking about Akwa Ibom governor, saying that he believes in the Tinubu administration.
What are the parameters to show that the government is doing well? Tell me, is it on the foreign exchange? When the value, the real value of the naira has depreciated? When in 2003, when they took over the government, the exchange rate was around 460 to a dollar, and now is about 1,500. So in real terms value, even the GDP has shrinked from 547 billion when Goodluck rebased the economy to Buhari 383 billion or so, now to $188 billion, and you are saying that we are almost the 5th or the 6th now in Africa from #1 position. But because you see, your relative strength is compared to your GDP, and then you are in a global economy.
But what the government is saying that we have to, you know, stop this pretense that we are doing well. We have to allow our economy to, the realities of our economy. We need to work with the realities. You know, we're talking about the value of the naira. It's artificial. You know, we have to allow it to have its own value, to be able to find its value in the global market, and that is what is happening today.
Is that how to? Is that how to get the value of a currency?
because we
a
keep
currency
pumping,
that
we
is
keep
that is
pumping
import
money,
dependent,
keep pumping money to sustain or to subsidize
an economy that is import dependent. You say you are floating the naira. Even the other day they were saying that we're recording a trade surplus.
Right?
You understand? What are the bases? It is mainly because we have reduced imports of refined products. Because the Dangote
local production,
exactly.
But shouldn't that be a credit, to the government?
Did the government even allow them in the first place? Let's not even talk about that. Let's not even
because
talk
it's a
about
plus.
That. No. Let me tell you.
Locally, we are producing and we are reducing import.
Let's not even go there.
It means we are making progress.
Let's not even go there. Let's not. The president had no choice. Yes, and I can tell you that.
Than to allow.
No, what I'm saying is, in a lot of those areas that it's happening, it's not because of deliberate government policies.
Okay.
There were forces, market forces, that the government couldn't do otherwise. You
but
understand?
The same market forces we are talking about are behind the increase in pump price and what have you.
No, there are some things that are artificial. You understand? If you want to know, all these things are possible. You could go in what happened in the value of the naira in 1985 when President Babangida came overnight. Was that market driven? Just overnight we woke up and then the value, the naira exchange rate was fixed. So there are so many things that if you want to talk about, you will get into all those things. And if you also look at the per capita income of the average Nigerian, it has dropped from 3,200 when Goodluck handed over to Buhari was $1,600 and now is about 800, less than even the civilian regime of Shehu Shagari. So Nigerians are worse off now. Nigerians are worse off now. I'm telling you.
But we know the obvious reasons for that.
Yes.
The fact that the value of the naira has also depreciated, certainly, and then the economy. The economic variables are also not palatable in terms of allowing ease of doing business and all of that. Some will say those are some of the factors that have triggered that concern you are raising. But coming back to our topic now, looking at the democracy and the concerns around this, it's not just about the political party strategies or dynamics or alignments and realignments. Again, there are also concerns around the institutions of government. Now, many believe that some tiers, or rather, the two tiers of government, the key arms of government, legislature and judiciary, have substantially been
emasculated in terms of, if you like to put it that way.
I wouldn't want to use emasculation. Abysmal in terms of their performance. The lawmakers, the legislators, quite a number of Nigerians have been raising concerns that they have become rubber stamp. Judiciary also tilting towards the center. Some would say the former governor of Kaduna recently said that an ordinary Nigerian see justice as being bought and sold. Cash, so sort of. So how are you looking at this? How does this affect or rather contribute to these concerns around the shift towards this dictatorship that we're talking about?
Well, you see, in a democracy, it is taken that the three arms of government are supposed to be independent, and they are supposed to be a check and balances.
Right.
The legislature will make the laws, the judiciary will interpret the laws, and the executive will enforce. Exactly. So, but in Nigeria's system of governance, where you have executive presidents, executive governor position, executive powers attributed to the office holders in the executive level, the tendency for abuse is very high. And where this abuse takes place, these other arms of government can be emasculated. And that's why I was using the word emasculated and you are trying to run away.
Who emasculated?
You understand?
They are still running independently.
I give you, for example, they claim that the judiciary receives its funding.
From the executive.
Okay.
It has to be approved anyway.
Who now collects all the funds that is to be appropriated? Is it not the executive? So if they decide to tell you that this is what we have collected, to what extent can you carry out a checks on them and confirm and verify that yes, what they say they have collected is actually what they have collected and that they are going to disburse or appropriate?
But then
you understand?
Yeah, you have the National Judicial Commission, for instance, which is responsible for, so I think some of those, in terms of fixing of salaries and so on and so forth, of the judicial offices and all of that. Again, you also have the National Assembly there to approve the budget, if you like, whatever it is provided for in the budget. The National Assembly is just to scrutinize and ensure that there is fairness in the distribution of the resources. And again, where that is not enough, for instance, the legislature also has the responsibility to jack it up, to make, to balance the figures. So it is not, a one-man show, so to speak. It is not just the executive responsibility now to decide in terms of funding. There are layers of checks. Is it that those checks are not working? Where is the problem?
Yeah, part of the issue is that the checks are not working very well. And if you want to strengthen democracy, they must all be working. Even when you are talking about the judiciary, I'm sure you've heard about budget padding. Where is it coming from? You understand?
Yes.
We have had cases of where you had street lights have been valued for 200 and something million naira for one street light. You understand? This is in the same budget of Nigeria
here
that we're talking about.
Also the devaluation of the naira.
No, so it's not about the devaluation.
You have to put that into consideration.
No. Let's be reasonable. Shafiu, what street light will cost 200 million? I don't know. You understand? Probably the energy will be supplied via satellite then. But honestly, they are very critical. They are not laughable issues, but they are very serious issues. That if we really need to take our democracy very seriously, we have to do everything. We have to do an introspection. And those people who are in position of responsibility, they must make sure that they are providing governance to meet the yearnings and expectations of the citizenry. That is very, very fundamental, and that's very, very basic, whether the legislature or whether the executive. But I do think we are not doing that very, very well, the way things are going.
And how do you think that can happen? Because we are talking about people who also have interest, looking at the structure of the country now. Some say even the budget is largely elitist, if you like. The ordinary people are not being taken care of in the budget, if you look at the spendings and what have you. But how do we correct this? Yes, we have a legislature that can come up with, not reforms now. I'm talking about, legislations that could help strengthen this institution and then strengthen democracy by extension. But the same set of people are also being accused of, being part of the problem. So where do we go from here? Who will save the country? Who will salvage the situation?
I remember, let me go back a little bit to what former Vice President Oshibanjo used to say. Our enlightened elites, we must come back to redeem Nigeria.
They've been talking about elite consensus.
Yeah, the elite consensus is very, very important. Because the elites will have to come and say, look, enough is enough. Whatever has happened, has happened. Let us come back and salvage Nigeria. Let us come back and redeem this country. Let us come back and reposition this country to be among respected countries in the Committee of Nations. So those who are in positions, whether in political leadership, whether in religious institutions, whether in organizations, we really have to come back to think about our country, Nigeria, and think about the people, the Nigerians.
So if we believe...
So if we don't do that, if you like, you can recycle people over and over again. If the attitudes have not changed, If the way of doing things have not changed, don't expect anything. Nothing will be different. And that is the challenge I would throw to the coalition, the opposition. They must prove that it's not, because most of them have been in office before. You understand? So what is very critical and important is to say, look, we have been involved. We have made mistakes. We have honored.
But for how long?
It is time.
But for how long would they continue to tell Nigerians the same line of thoughts? You know, before 2015, the same kind of scenario played out.
Yeah.
So-called progressives came together, said, no, what the PDP is doing was wrong. We have to redeem this country. We have to change the narrative. They were here, 10 years. Things
12 years now.
Yeah, many believe
okay,
that
10 years,
things have even gone bad.
Yeah.
So if things have gone bad, 10 years after the promise that they're going to salvage the country, what hope would Nigerians have that if they gang up again, you know, as many say, it's just in the interest of grabbing power, and they return to power? How would they also change the narrative? Because the same set of people you mentioned were also being recycled. Is either the minister, a governor, or what?
And that's what I'm telling you. I said, let the coalition not just be for the purpose of grabbing power, but the coalition should be for the purpose of changing Nigeria for the better. And it shouldn't be about rhetorics. It shouldn't be political demagoguery, and you know, you just come, you say highfalutin words, and you just move on. No, I think we should become more responsible and reasonable in our approach. And that is the challenge that I'm giving to the opposition. And they must show that, and they must prove that. And you can get that in my political party, the Action Democratic Party.
We are marketing your party, the Action Democratic Party, anyway, even though I don't know whether your party is even part of this coalition talks. I understand the other time I was speaking with your national chairman, he seems to buy into this idea. He was also worried around, you know, the same set of people coming to grab power. I mean, ganging up for power grab and all of that. Where is the position of, where is the place of ADP in this arrangement?
Yeah, we're talking to people of interests, people who share like minds and like thoughts with us, even some from the coalition, but we have not joined yet the coalition as a political party. You understand? We haven't joined the coalition yet as a political party.
Okay, but you are part
but of course we have been approached, we are talking.
Who knows, maybe your political party could be one of those parties under wrap that have not been discussed, because that's what we had. When ADC came into the talk, the limelight, you know, many didn't see it going that way. Perhaps maybe the ADP is also part of those that are being kept under wrap. You mentioned that about 6 political parties are being...
Yeah, they are funding the coalition, yes, and I'm telling you, they are in APC, and they are governors in APC.
Right, okay, let's look at, before we open the line, because Nigerians will also have to call and share their thoughts. You talked about an elite engineered change or changing the narrative towards this elite consensus, which has never come, you know, to be in the last couple of years or decades. What about the people? Because as you also rightly mentioned earlier, 2027 is about people. I mean, it's about the people. It is not about any political elites decamping or whatever. It's about the people. How do we get the people to own this process and to take charge of, to be true to, you know, the fact that they are the ones who give the mandate, to the leaders to exercise on their behalf? Where is the place of, the conversation is totally skewed, you know, in favor of the elites. Where is the place of the ordinary people?
Yes, this is where particularly religious institutions would come in. But I'm also afraid they are also being infiltrated. You understand? Because you'll be surprised, a religious leader will go to the pulpit and his whole sermon is probably just about a particular party, or even telling people what to do, instead of telling people what to look for, rather than saying, go for this party.
Right. Instead of
so that's education, exactly. That responsibility is there. The family is there. The schools, they're also there. So they have key roles to play. I don't even know what the National Orientation Agency is doing, if it's still existing. You see, I'm telling you, because these are core mandates and these are core roles.
Right.
Because the education of the citizenry is very, very important.
Yeah.
Because it's often said that people get the type of leaders that they deserve.
It's also part of the responsibilities of political parties.
Yes.
I don't know how much of that you're doing as a party in the ADP, because it is the responsibility of opposition parties also to educate and enlighten the citizens.
Exactly, that people should look out for real people who are genuine, people who have the competence and the capacity and they can deliver.
Right.
And they should look at the track record, because that's very important.
Right. Okay.
And so the Nigerian citizens have to be alive, have to be active, have to be alert to their own responsibility.
Right. Okay.
They shouldn't just only leave it to those in positions of responsibility.
Right. Okay. You can call in now and share your thoughts with us. You've had the talking points, looking at Nigeria's democracy and the concerns around, dictatorship or one-party state, and so, as some call it. So you can call us. The number will soon be on your screen. Call us, and then let's hear your own side of the story. It's all about you. Right. Okay. Talking about what the people can do. But there is also another major concern around the electoral accountability. Now, quite a number of people are worried. Okay, I understand we have a caller. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Hello. Okay, I think we lost that call.
Okay.
Yes. Electoral accountability. There are concerns around whether the votes will count 2027 or not. And we're beginning to see, right from the previous election, the trajectory of apathy, political apathy. We've seen how, the number of people that came out drastically reduced. Okay. Hello, good evening. We have a caller. Hello, good evening. Hello. I hope we're not having issues with the telephone, the telephone line. Yes.
Probably.
All right. Yes, you can respond to that very quickly. Concerns around electoral accountability and, of course, having confidence in the electoral system. How can we get that, extract that from both sides?
You see, since we missed somebody like Jega, some people have been calling Professor Mahmoud names. I wouldn't go into that, but I think he should redeem his name.
Okay. Even though some would say that there's some sort of a consolidation. Jega came up with the smart card reader, and then he came up with quite a number of innovations. The IREB, the what do you call it now? The IREB for the result. You have this for the capture.
We have not got there yet, and this is even the time to do it for some of the mid-season elections, like some of the governorship elections that are coming. Start communicating some of these results electronically. Let us start testing, because whatever you say, if you don't do it, Nigerians will doubt. You understand?
Yeah.
And that is why I'm saying that Professor Mahmoud should come out and, make sure that any allegation or accusations that people have is not really true. And there are even some recently appointed REC commissioners. They are alleged to be card-carrying members of APC. So those are the kind of things that, cast doubt and aspersion on the integrity of the electoral system. And I think they have a responsibility to Nigerians to make sure that they discharge their duties to the best of their conscience and according to the oath of office that they are to discharge.
Even though the apron is also tied at some point, finances comes from the executive, appointments came from the executive, and quite a number of limitations, some will say.
Yeah, these are some of the reforms that should be taking place. But I think this government so far, the interest they have in reforming the Nigerian economy is only the tax reforms. But there are so many reforms, even the judiciary. Some people are even saying that the powers of the CJN is too much, too concentrated. He's sitting on the Federal Judicial Service Commission, he's sitting on the NJC, he's sitting on the National Judicial Institute. You know, some of these positions.
To relieve or to decentralize.
Exactly. And also even the Independent National Electoral Commission. Now there's issue of they want to add local government elections to
at the time people
INEC.
are also asking
and
for
when we are talking of devolution of powers, we want more powers to the grassroots. We're even talking about state police, and yet we're concentrating powers at the federal level. So we need to check some of these
when you
things.
talk about the reforms, largely concentrated in the economy, I mean, some would say it's a matter of priority now. Perhaps the government's priority is about the Naira and Kobo, not about the, electoral reforms, or not about the judicial reforms, and you, as you wish. May his soul rest in peace, Justice Lolo.
Justice Lolo passed away, I think yesterday.
Hours ago, we lost him. Quite a gentleman. Look at what happened, after the 2007 elections. The beneficiary of that election, late Eradua, Murmusi Eradua himself, admitted that there are flaws in the election and there is need for, reforms. And he came up with the Ways Committee, which did a fantastic job. There has been consolidation and all of that, but there hasn't been much talk about that, going into 2027. How do you think this conversation should be reignited? Who should? At the time, Nigeria, focus has shifted towards 2027 elections. Shouldn't the conversation also be around reforming the electoral system? And
that's why I was telling you. I said this government is so obsessed with just the tax reforms, but there are other critical reforms that they needed to go into. I mentioned the judicial reforms that we needed. We also need the electoral reforms, which you have re-echoed. So that's very important. Incidentally, I had worked in the Supreme Court for 4 years when I was working with the federal government, but not as a judicial officer, but as one of the federal government arms that was there. And I had known Justice Owais in person. You understand? And the commission or the committee that he led for the reforms, even there's the Orosanye, the West Commission, there are so many reforms that have been carried out, but everything is just gathering dust. So we end up spending taxpayers' money, come out with beautiful reports, assemble people who will go into intellectual and rigorous reviews, come out with good recommendations, and then we just dump them.
It takes just somebody who is not patriotic to know that Tinubu has failed the Nigerian people. This Nigeria is working. Yes, it's working, but for the political class, not for the ordinary man. Tell me how the ordinary man on the street has felt the Tinubu's government. How have they felt this government? How has this government played one or two roles in their lives? That is what people are failing to ask. It is only the politicians that are enjoying it. Tinubu needed private jet depot. Tinubu is working on the, what is it called, Calabar Lagos Coastal Highway, because it's a project that will benefit him. It's all about him, not about Nigerians. Now, you must have heard that an international center was renovated and renamed after Tinubu, and that has caused a lot of bad buzz on the social media. Like this person is saying, wait, you mean Tinubu renames a conference center built by Babangida after himself? This is he's saying, are you saying that this is what Tinubu did? Actually, that was what he did, and people are reacting. This person says the only road you should name after Tinubu is the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road. That only 30 kilometers of it was completed and commissioned. So Tinubu should just take credit for the 30 kilometers he built, not structures built by others. Tinubu is renovating them and renaming them after his name. What is power-drunk human being? Power-drunk, obsessed. Tinubu forgets that he's old, that he doesn't have long time to live on this planet, and he just wants to put his name everywhere. This person said, power intoxicated official bar. That is power intoxicated Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So Nigerians are not happy with this latest development. The same thing Wike did in Rivers State. That is what Wike is doing for Tinubu. building projects, naming them after your name, and the same thing is being replicated in Abuja. I know the Northerners will not like this, because if Abuja is said to be, categorized on where it belongs to, it belongs to the North. And the Northerners, while they were in power, none of them did this kind of thing. Even Buhari was seen to be the worst. Did not go this far to begin to name projects after his name. But Tinubu, in less than 2 years, Tinubu has named so many projects after his name, despite the woeful, performance that he has performed. He has not impacted on the lives of Nigerians. He's busy naming, strategic infrastructures after himself. This person said the game is coming very clear. You can see that the only people talking about Tinubu now is Yoruba APC, slaves and some money for handbag for grand politicians. They are the only ones supporting APC, supporting Tinubu's government, no other person, And this person said, I don't understand why you guys are obsessed about renaming of Noble project. Please focus on the job. Can you imagine? This person is saying, why are we obsessed that Tinubu will rename project after himself? That is it. This other person said tomorrow they will claim they built Nigeria as he claimed he built Lagos. That is it. As he's telling everybody he built Lagos, he built Lagos. Tomorrow he will tell you I built Nigeria. And they are doing these things. They are all the money they are borrowing. Nigerians are the ones to pay for it, and then they will put their names as if it's their money, as if it's their effort. Tinubu, I heard this project was built with about 200 million naira, and today Tinubu used 30 billion to renovate it. What Tinubu and Wike are doing with Nigerian people's money is still what people do not understand. Honestly, these people, they have really robbed Nigeria. This is like a daylight robbery happening in Nigeria. A project that was built, yes, it was built back then for about 200 and something million. Today it's being renovated with 30 billion. Do you know how many hospitals $1 billion can even set up? You can imagine going across the country and setting up standard hospitals with a 1 billion naira. You know what that means. But these people will not let it happen. It's all about themselves. Tinubu is renovating and putting his name there so that Wike will say, oh, tomorrow I build projects for you. I build project for your second term. No Nigerian is going to vote Tinubu on the basis of all these things, all these politics is playing with Wike. No Nigerian. Now, this person say very funny. Soon, some other presidents will remove it. This person say Bat is very covetous. We, Yoruba, should be disappointed in him. Fashola Omotion executed project while they held their position as governors. However, I'm not surprised by Wike's high service because he named projects done during his tenure with Rivers People's Fund after himself. Wike did the same thing for himself, projects built by Rivers People's money. Wike will use his name on it. That is it. That is it. So guys, in short there, I don't even know. After 2 years, these people are looking for something to commission, but none other than ICC, built by Babangida in 19. What kind of ojoro is this? This person said Tinubu is now using our people's legacy to shine. This person might be from the north. Wait, he will soon name the coastal road after himself. That is what he's going to do. Tinubu, his own busybody. It's too much. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell. Please give this video a like so that YouTube can recommend it to others, and drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you.